Thank you, Warren, very much for that very generous introduction. I'm very happy to be here with you and with our Afar friends in the diaspora and in the countries where the Afar live as long-established communities. I'm happy to be here with you to celebrate the launch of the Eritrean Afar State in Exile. I want to tell you why this step is being taken now and what we expect to accomplish by this, and also what you can do to contribute to peace, order, and justice in the Horn of African countries. First, let me start by considering with you how Eritrea became an outcast among the nations of the world. Eritrea is not a long-established or a natural political unit. It's composed of 10 different societies which speak different languages, observe different religions, have separate histories, and participate in different cultures. The 10 societies have different family structures, economies, and enjoy distinct patterns of land use. They have very different customary laws, systems of governance, and ways of life. These 10 societies were colonized by Italy in the 19th century. Italy defined Eritrea's borders by treaty in 1890. It then settled thousands of Italians into the colonies. Mussolini built elaborate Italianate churches in Asmara, an opera house, and a railway. The local 10 societies were excluded from the fascist administration. They continued to live in their ancient ways. When Italy was defeated in the Second World War, its Eritrean colony was given to Ethiopia. This went against the wishes of the local people organized in ancient societies. Ethiopia repressed any signs of dissent and also repressed brutally Eritrean nationalism. Emperor Haile Selassie closed the Eritrean press, forbid the teaching of the Tigrinian language in schools, and imposed Ethiopia's Amharic language upon Eritreans who did not speak it. This set off a 30-year civil war. The Eritrean fight was led by the Eritrean People's Liberation Front. This was a national liberation movement influenced by Marxist and Maoist ideas, and its leaders trained in Russia, Cuba, China, and Algeria. The EPLF itself was racked by dissension in its ranks, armed insurrection within its ranks. It fought internal wars among its own people, and it was beset by constant splintering. Afwerki became the supreme leader of the EPLF by repressing political rivals and executing dissenters. When I'm challenged, Afwerki said, I become more stubborn, more and more rigid. He created a secret party within the EPLF party called the Eritrean People's Revolutionary Party, and this became his personal instrument of control. This war against Ethiopia was fought for 30 years, and when the Soviets withdrew their support in 1989, the EPLF triumphed, marched into Asmara, and took control of the country. Ethiopia was also beset by a revolutionary movement in itself, which was successful. And so the two revolutionary movements decided that if approved in a referendum, Eritrea would become an independent state. The referendum was held. It was overwhelmingly voted for in favor of independence, and Eritrea became an independent country in 1993. The secret center of the EPLF was renamed the PFDJ, the People's Front for Democracy and Justice. This was the core of Afwerki's control, and it stayed in control, although with a new name. Its power is concentrated in a single pair of hands. Eritrea did go through a constitutional exercise 2 years after independence. In 1995 and through 1997. Isaias Afwerki picked the chair of the Constitutional Commission. The PFDJ influenced the constitutional process, and the constitution that resulted from that is an excessively centralized constitution. There is no power sharing with the traditional 10 societies. The small societies, the Afar included, are nowhere granted autonomy or self-governance. Their economies, their resources, their traditions, their culture, their way of life are nowhere protected in that constitution. The Afaric language and other small national languages receive no protection in that constitution. That constitution confiscates all indigenous lands, including Afaric lands, and gives them to the central state. There are other objectionable concepts in that constitution which are modeled on the Stalinist and Maoist ideas that characterize the EPLF. Eritrea, like Stalin, intends to promote a new Eritrean national character, a new Eritrean personality, a new identity. And the author of the Constitution, Dr. Selassie, said that the Constitution is looking for, in his words, an all-embracing Eritrean identity, and that to do this, Eritrea will suppress ethnic identities by all means and policies. This is a driving force of the 1997 Constitution. Well, the Afar reject that. That is not a model the Afar accept. That is not a model the Afar ever accepted. And that is not a model the Afar ever will accept. We invited Dr. Selassie to Ottawa, the author of the Constitution. We invited him to Ottawa 2 years ago to tell him why the Afar reject it. And we explained that his constitution violates Afar human rights to autonomy, self-determination, language, lands, and resources. And we had a very remarkable interchange with Dr. Selassie, which took place on videotape, during the course of which Dr. Selassie admitted the process that he led did not consult the Afar, that he, as chair of the Constitutional Commission, did not understand Afar needs, that his constitution fails to provide for Afar or other minority rights, that the constitution he drafted needs change, that the ethnic federal model proposed by Ease today could be, in his words, the correct model. And, again on videotape, Dr. Selassie apologized to the Afar. This is the first justification for what we together here in this room and in diaspora and Afar communities around the world are doing today. There is no model that can be taken off the shelf to describe what Eritrea will be. There is no constitution waiting to come into existence that will command the support of the Eritrean people, and certainly no constitution that will command the support of the Afar. So the Eritrean Afar State in exile will set out what the Afar require to participate in a new Eritrea. The Eritrean Afar State in exile will negotiate these requirements with other stakeholders in Eritrea, as the Constitutional Commission should have done, but did not do. The Eritrean Afar State in exile will envision, from the Afar point of view, what Eritrea can become. This is a process that has already started and has advanced very far. In 2010, the Afar discussed among themselves and their leadership what they needed in a new Eritrea. And they set this down in 2010 in the Samara Declaration, which thousands upon thousands of ordinary Afar and the Afaric leadership signed. This is a document that was reconsidered and reaffirmed in 2011. It has attracted, again, thousands upon thousands of Afar signatures, including the entire Afar leadership. And what it is that the Afar require is autonomy and self-determination, control of their lands and resources, protection for the Afaric language, equality with other nationalities in Eritrea. In short, they require no less than what international law guarantees to them and other national minorities. A second justification for what we are doing here today, creating the Eritrean Afar State in exile, comes from international developments. Afar leaders asked us, Warren and Ahmed, myself, to bring their case of mistreatment to the world, to the attention of the world community. And we did that. We engaged with the United Nations 4 separate times. We submitted evidence, we examined witnesses, and we made legal argument before United Nations bodies. We were instrumental in having a special investigator appointed by the United Nations to look into the allegations that we were making. And that investigator did so. And she reported that Eritrea displaced the Afar from their traditional lands and did this by murder, by intimidation, by disappearances, by torture, and by rape, as we had alleged. The United Nations investigator, called a special rapporteur, agreed with us that Eritrea was destroying the traditional Afar economy and was confiscating Afar businesses. We asked the Human Rights Council of the United Nations to confirm the Special Rapporteur's findings. And in June of 2013, the United Nations Council, Human Rights Council, including all of its 200 member states, confirmed those findings. Today, the situation is that all of the nations of the world endorse these findings and condemn what Eritrea has done. Eritrea is increasingly isolated, increasingly vulnerable, increasingly weak as a result of this. This vulnerability, Afwerki's vulnerability, is a third reason why the Eritrean Afar State in exile is necessary. On January 21, 2013, 100 Eritrean soldiers and 4 tanks marched into Fordo, the state television network in Eritrea, and took control. They rounded up the staff, put them in a room, got the director, and required that a communique be read over Eritrean television demanding change. This was an attempted coup d'etat. It lasted for a full day. And the relevance is that it shows splintering in the Eritrean armed forces. It shows the beginning of disintegration in the army. In November, the information minister, one of the closest of Afwerki's loyal ministers, defected. Then the entire soccer team who went to Kenya to play defected together along with its coach. We have been aware, and we have been assisting as refugee advocates, that thousands of Eritrea's soldiers are fleeing across the border to Ethiopia and fleeing across the Red Sea by boat to Yemen. These are just a few examples of what is happening, which is that control is slipping from Afwerki's hands. The reality is that that dictatorship is not going to last long. It's isolated, and its days are numbered. We know this from as the teaching of the Arab Spring. These dictatorships are inherently unstable. Anything can set them off at any time. What seems as if it could never be moved overnight disappears. The clock is ticking towards the tip of this dictatorship. This is another reason why what we are doing here today is justified and crucially important. We must be ready. The Afar must be ready to regime fails. The Afar people can now use the Eritrean Afar State in exile to roll out and elaborate upon Afar self-determination. The Afar can use the Eritrean Afar State in exile to join with other nationalities to bring about a new Eritrean federation based on equality for all nationalities. The creation of the Eritrean Afar State in exile is the result of a broad compromise among the Afar people. The Eritrean Afar State in exile intends to build and broaden that Afar consensus. We have the right model, a power-sharing constitution for all. our progress has been nothing short of spectacular. We have real, durable achievements on the ground and real, durable international recognition for the truth of what we are saying. So I say today to Afar in this room, to Afar in the diaspora, to Afar in Eritrea, in Ethiopia, in Djibouti, have confidence in your successes. I say today to the Afar, have confidence in yourselves. Renew your hopes. Strengthen your faith. Believe that the future belongs to you. Embrace your brother and sister Afar. Embrace your children. We have been and we will be building for them and for you. Thank you.